And as a young individual, especially as a young black male, you have this negative interaction, knowing that all you were doing was just riding your bicycle, but I didn't take it to the point where I said, forget the police. There's another word for that, but I ain't gonna say it.
Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, I don't know what this world is coming to.
You're listening to the Black and Blue Podcast, a discussion and celebration of the roles of African Americans and other minorities in U.S. law enforcement. Your host on the Black and Blue Podcast is Dale Peters, a law enforcement professional with over 20 years experience in the business. Hop on board this Black and Blue train of interviews, current events, and pop culture conversations. So get ready. The Black and Blue Podcast is coming at you right now. What's happening, Square Pegs? Welcome to another scorching hot edition of the Black and Blue Podcast. And this is where we celebrate diversity in U.S. law enforcement. My name is Dale, and I'm the host. Thank you one and all for tuning in. And if you haven't done so already, make sure you click those like, subscribe, and bell icons right down here on my YouTube channel. It really helps me and the show immensely. And if you're listening to me on your favorite podcast platform, please rate the Black and Blue Podcast 5 stars. And lastly, but certainly not least, head on over to any of my social media pages for even more content. You can find me everywhere at Black and Blue US. All right, so with that said, let's bring on today's guest of honor. He is the chief of police of one of our great U.S. cities. Everybody, please help me welcome to the show, Milwaukee, Wisconsin Police Chief Jeffrey Norman. How you doing, sir?
Hanging in there, Dale. Feeling blessed, brother. How about yourself?
I'm great. Thank you for coming on to the show. Really appreciate it.
Appreciate the invitation.
All right. So how are things going on out there today in Milwaukee?
Well, I know it's not as sunshiny as California, but we definitely got a little sunshine here in the almost start of spring. But it's been, up and down with the weather here, but I can't complain whenever I see the sun outside.
There you go. Yeah. It's March and rolling into April here pretty soon. So, yes, things are looking up. So I appreciate you coming on amidst all the springtime fiascos going on. I know we got basketball coming. Oh, yeah. And baseball's coming. And
yes, sir.
Basketball's coming to an end here, and then football. You guys are
right.
Your Green Bay boys just re-signed Aaron Rodgers, and
a lot of money. I wish I was in his shoes.
Yeah, well, the news just came out today. Deshaun Watson's going to Cleveland, and for the richest contract. So, a lot of things going on.
What are we doing wrong, Dale? What's going on?
I know we're not playing sports, but hey, we're doing a good thing here. So.
Oh, absolutely. Paid in dividends in regards to work we're doing for our communities.
Yes, absolutely. So the last time I spoke to you, you were the interim police chief when you were on the live a few months ago, and then now that title has changed. Tell everybody about your position now as the full time chief of police.
So back to the last time we were here, I know that we had a number of different guests in your show. I was at the interim position. Back in November of last year, I was voted in unanimously we have a civilian governing board, the Fire and Police Commission. And so they had, had a process, made an interview of 3 different town halls with the interview with them. And basically they liked what the work was being produced here out of the executive team, and thought that being at the helm was the most important factor for the team. So I was blessed with a 4-year term.
All right. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So how long have you been with Milwaukee?
26 years. So actually, as of April 8th of 2022, it'll be 26 full years.
So you came up through the whole rank structure from patrol all the way up, huh?
Yes, sir. I always like to say I came from the mailroom, now I'm in the boardroom. but served in the patrol side, had done a number of different assignments, worked all over the city, plain clothes within the communication division, several different districts. Been promoted to detective, worked in all assignments, robberies, homicide, violent crimes, you name it. From there, getting to the lieutenant rank and was a supervisor within the investigation for homicide. Promoted to captain, assistant chief, and now chief. So definitely have a number of different experiences, but that gives that foundational credibility when you are approaching the team in regards to saying that I've been there, done that, got a good understanding of it, but always open for any suggestions or how to better because it's not about me or it's about we.
Yes, absolutely. So tell everybody who at the beginning I did say one of our great U.S. cities, but maybe not everybody listening, hopefully across the globe here, knows about Milwaukee. Tell everybody a little bit about Milwaukee, the demographics, the size, and all that.
Absolutely. So, one, I'm born and raised in Milwaukee, lived there all my life. We're about 96 square miles of the city. Right now, we are a little bit almost about 580,000 in regards to residents. The makeup is almost 50-50 between Caucasian, African American. I know that we have, a good Latino population also. I believe around like 20-30% Latino, and then we have other, indigenous populations. But we are now considered within recently a majority black and brown city. I don't like to use the word minority too much. Maybe slip it up in the vocabulary, but for the most part, we got to recalibrate our mindset in regards to how we refer to ourselves and refer to our population. But we are considered the city on the lake. We are about hour and a half north of Chicago, so that gives people a point of reference. A lot of festivities. I mean, the summertime is really, just a vibrant city. One of the things that put us on the map recently, the 2021 basketball championship, the Bucks. So we had a great celebration time, which is really important because it ties public safety. If anybody recalls that, championship conference run, we had the largest outdoor watch party that I believe ever been recorded
Yeah.
in regards to over 100,000 people. And, the Milwaukee Police Department rose to the occasion. You didn't have any particular type of disturbances, rioting, it just really was about, supporting the Bucks, supporting, the game in regards to, those who had came to visit to watch it, and everyone had a great time. So we have a lot of great things going on. I know sometimes people from back in the day who remember the Laverne and Shirley of Milwaukee. That's not the Milwaukee of today. That might
Yeah.
date myself a little bit, but definitely I have a passion for our community. Have we have our challenges? Absolutely. Are we continue to have challenges? Absolutely. But I always challenge Dale, anyone to say, find me a large major city. We're not having the challenges, especially coming out
Right.
of the post Floyd 2020 pandemic. A lot of things that really put strain on a lot of our communities. But we are really shoulder and shoulder together to work in this work that needs to be done for our communities, and I'm very proud of it. So
Absolutely. Love to hear it. Love to hear it. How large is the department?
the department is around. We're authorized now about 1660. Right now, we're dealing with attrition. So we have, around like a little bit over 1,600. We're going through a hiring process. We have about around between 600 to 700 civilian. I always like to tell people our civilian and our sworn are one to me. They're all members of this department. We definitely have some challenges in regards to our attrition. We're going through some large retirements and some resignations because, the unfortunate thing is that because there's so many opportunities in the profession, we are the largest department in the state of Wisconsin. A lot of the smaller departments are recruiting from us, which it is what it is. If
Yep.
there's grass is greener somewhere else, you got to sit there and just let people go and let them get their shine, so to speak. But we're going through a hiring process right now. About 195 is what we're slated for this year. So we're definitely dealing with the pinch of every other department in regards to people who, I always say this, earn the retirement. Can't be
Yep.
mad. When you go through the challenges of what we go through for our public profession, I tell people when you had the pandemic in full blown, we had no Zoom. There was no, Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
Teams. You had to go to work. And when we have that type of a commitment, it does take a toll on your body and mind. So I'm very proud when any of our members walk out the door with their own 2 feet, who are able to, take their hard-earned time to either regroup or go on to the next phase in their life. So, but
Yeah.
definitely who we're left with, we're still working hard together and working through a lot of these transition changes. But we're hanging in there.
Yeah. Yeah. People don't seem to understand that aren't in the profession that all the lumps and things that we take internally as far and externally in our bodies and our mental health, our well-being as well, that since we can retire such as a young age. I know in California, well, at least I was grandfathered under the 50, eligible to retire at 50. Now the newer people can have to retire at 57, but the general public, that's even young for them, for
Yes,
65. I
sir.
don't know what it is in Wisconsin. So yeah.
It's 25 and now under my old grandfather, but now it's like I think 52 formula with a number of years in a job. It's still like you just said, Dale. It's still younger than what the our private life comparison is, but you hit it right on the head. Monday through Friday. I mean, not Monday through Friday, Sunday through Saturday. 24/7 operation, holidays. I worked 19 years late shift. So
Yep.
I was working a midnight shift. That takes a toll. The circadian rhythm, you're supposed to get sleep at night. We're up.
Yep.
Not only you were up, but you're out there, doing the work that the noble people that's in this profession do in regards to those who want to prey on others or, want to, bring violence or do the things that, we as guardians step up to, protect our communities. But yeah, wellness is real. My office is on the 8th floor in my building. I walk the stairs every day, brother.
Okay.
Understand that you got to keep yourself, active, moving. I'm a desk jockey. I sit behind a desk. So if you're not intentional every morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, I work out because I say at the end of the day, as much as you put into this profession, you should get right back out in regards to retirement. No one should be, passing away within a year after retiring. We
Right.
need to take care of ourselves. That's a blessing to have your health. That's the most, precious commodity that we can possess. So I really make it a big thing about, wellness in our department, have a robust wellness team, but you got to embody it to actually express it to your
Yeah.
people that this is what you desire them to do. You got to show it. People like, Chief, you walking up to your office? Like, yes, I am every day.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So that's the, keeping it
Yeah.
real.
Yeah. We got to beat those actuary tables where they expect us to pass away within a year or two of retirement,
Oh
even
yes.
at
Oh
that
yes.
even at that early 50s age, and not
Yes.
be able to pay out on those long
Yes.
term retirements.
Yes,
So
well, if you're not taking care of yourself, I mean, the actuary tables are against us. That's why people don't understand why our, eligibility to retire is so young because we weren't living long enough. I know our longevity has been extended because we're now starting to understand that we have to do more than just talk about taking care of yourself. Having programs, whether it's healthy rewards or again the wellness team that checks in on your head, because no matter if you are healthy in regards to the
yeah.
physical, if your head ain't right, if your
Right.
spirit's not right, okay, so you got some strong arms, but it's almost like the core in regards to you can have strong arms, but your core's not right. You're going to have injuries. That's the same thing
Right.
that we're learning, especially in regards to our West Coast counterparts, because you guys are all at the forefront in regards to mindful meditation and wellness, and maybe it's all that California sun, but that yoga and we had to learn that. Unfortunately, our Midwest side of
Yeah.
understanding, yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you, I have box breathing. I have it up on my. I almost want to turn the camera to show you, but I have box breathing on my board. That when everything's get a little kind of hectic, because it does still get a little hectic in the Chiefs
Mm-hmm.
position, slow it down, breathe 4 seconds,
Yes.
release 4 seconds. I mean, that stuff is real. That stuff is real. It's not just a joke or some mucky muck mushy stuff. This is longevity. This is about your health. This is about making sure you come to the best version of yourself, to the profession, but also to your family and loved ones.
Yes.
Cut it out. It's
Yes.
not just about
That
the
part.
profession. It's about who loves you most. which is those like my spouse, my kids. They're depending on daddy to be there for them. So
All right. And speaking of which, so you are a spouse, you're a husband, you are a dad.
yes.
How many kids you got?
Two, I always like this cuz say, and I know my wife's like, don't say that. I have a 6-year-old going on 3, and I have a 13-year-old going on 25.
Uh
I love
oh.
my son. My son is the
Yeah.
oldest one. He just did a speech for president the other day. We're proud of Jack and Jill of America. I almost had tears in my eyes, brother. The way that he presented
Wow.
himself, the public speaking, the depth and breadth of it, and people look back and say, I didn't write that. That was all on him. So in regards to our children, my daughter, she's a little ballerina. She's a beautiful young lady, but also it comes to be blessed by, I have 20 years of marriage to a beautiful, wife who's also born and raised from Milwaukee. So it really is a blessing, my man, to be able to have a home life that allows me to be the best version of myself in my professional life. And that's what people need to
Yes.
realize. You got to have your home life right. You cannot deal with some of the challenges of our communities, the emergencies, the crisis. When your own life is in crisis, you need to take care of your home and get what you need right in regards to that. You need to be able to come to work the best version of yourself so that you're helping someone in a better mind state than all the stuff that got the challenges coming from your home life. So I'm blessed. It's not easy. It's not perfect by no means, but it's intentional in regards to how our lifestyle is. And my wife and I have been together for 25 years, and she's loving my life. So I'm very proud to be able to be in this position where I'm supported at home and also at work.
Indeed. Indeed. So, born and raised in Milwaukee, what was your journey growing up into this professional law enforcement?
Well, I'll lie to you if I said it was easy, Dale. I just did an interview this morning, and I said I had good experience with the police and also bad experience with the police. But the
Yeah.
thing that I always say this, though, is I never paint any situation with a broad brush. My first experience with law enforcement was positive. Officer comes to class, shows himself to, nice uniform and, engaging and talk about the challenges of the job. But it was inspiring to me and also something that says, I want to be like him. But don't get me wrong, I had situations growing up where, I'm riding my bicycle through certain affluent communities and I get stopped where they check my bike to make sure it's stolen. All type of violations of reasonable suspicion and, stop and frisk, whatnot. And as a young individual, especially as a young black male, you have this negative interaction knowing that all you were doing was just riding your bicycle you know.
Yep.
But I didn't take it to the point where I said, forget the police. There's another word for that, but I ain't gonna say it. But you sit there and I
It's a
looked at it from a
family show, Chief.
standpoint,
Family show,
right?
Chief.
Right. I know you want to make sure that you talk about the person and the situation, not the profession. And so it really was a good thing to be able to have more positive experiences with the police growing up than bad. But I had my share of being disrespected or having someone come what you want to say left side where you have to sit there and take that and say I'm not going to be like that. Even throughout my time on in the profession, I had bad bosses I worked for. I had bad people who I worked with. And I always made sure not only did I speak up when the time was right, because you have to call situations out, not disrespectfully, but professionally in regards to that wasn't right, but also to say that bad example of leadership would not be me. And shame on me to carry that baton that was given to me from somebody else who had that bad experience. I dropped that baton. I don't want
Right.
that baton. I
Yep.
believe in servant leadership. I believe in giving the best to my people to make them as best as they can in regards to the resources and the training and the guidance and the coaching and the developing. It's not about beating people down or making them feel like, it's a blessing for them to be in your presence. It's about shouldering, some of the burdens with them and being able to give them resources so they're able to come to work with the best version of themselves. And that transposes to the best version of themselves to our community.
Yeah. Yep. But having those experiences growing up, negative and positive, what still kind of steered you towards law enforcement as opposed to, say, medicine or being a lawyer or a mechanic or a teacher or what have you? Had you always had that calling for public service, or what's that story there?
Yes, and I say that all the time when I do a lot of public speaking. Answer that call to in your soul. A lot of people tell you what you're good at, but you know what you're good at. Oh, you're smart. I was told I should become an accountant, but I said I don't want to be an accountant. The aspect of policing, of being there in the community. I've always been an active guy, always been an outgoing guy, and doing community work speaks for me. And I'm not gonna lie, I do like having a little bit of authority. I mean, you can't just say that police is all about that you're going to be engaged in the community, but I do know how to stand up when it's time to stand up and speak and be noticed. So all those factors played in my choice of the profession. But just to keep it real with you, Dale, though, I also want to become a lawyer, so I got my law degree. I
Okay.
also wanted to do judicial, so I was a commissioner for a court, one of our judicial courts here. So I believe that and it's, I know, kind of corny, but you can be what you want to be. You know,
Right.
as long as you sit there, put your mind to it, as long as you get the right mentors, because too often people think you got to do something alone. There's people out there willing to share their story with you, but they're not going to go looking for you. You got to find them.
Hmm.
And I've never been afraid to go up to someone and speak and say, how did you do that? How did you get there? And you'd be surprised the answer that people give you. They always say to be successful without successor is a failure. And they ain't nothing. They ain't my own quote. That simple. This is brought down to me. Successful people like to share with people who are hungry, who are humble, and who are willing to learn and understand that they need to be able to be an acolyte to someone who's willing to be able to say, "Hey, I didn't make it on my own, and here you can. Here you go." Now,
Right.
I ain't gonna
Right.
say it's easy. Nothing worth it in our life is easy. But I tell you, there is a lot of examples of those, hard work and grit and, putting forth the effort, doing your research. There's always somebody willing to share. But, you got to understand that failure is going to be part of the process. You're going to fall down at times. I mean, look at
Hmm.
me. I was in an intern for almost a year. But through being, determined, I knew my, credentials. I knew the connections, but definitely sometimes it is a marathon, not a sprint. And you got to be
Right.
able to believe in yourself and own it and understand that basically you have to believe that you deserve it, not somebody got to tell you you deserve it.
Right. Right. But being a smart guy and being the interim of a large police department, I'm sure you had some feelers out from other agencies as well, correct?
And that's really what started pushing my intern process even quicker because at
Yeah.
some point I was saying, listen, I'm not going to be a bridesmaid. Again, I talk about the intentionality of my process. People say, "Oh, you just fell into the police chief." I said, "Nah, you didn't look at my resume because
Right.
everything that you see in my resume led up to this point." Now, I wanted to be here. I wanted to be in Milwaukee. I mean, my whole resume speaks about being born, but I also understood that if I am not your choice, I'm going to be somebody else's choice. And at one point during this process, I was getting recruited by a number of different agencies. It's not easy finding someone who wants to be in these leadership roles, especially who can bring credentials to the table. So it got a little ugly over the summer where I ain't gonna lie, brother, I was stressed out
Mm.
because it was a tale of two cities in my body where it's nice to be wanted and see that those are other agencies. I mean, like literally wooing me, but there is a connection saying, but I want to be here. And there
Yes.
was that, once that decision started to come to fruition, that it seemed like it was about to play out well for Milwaukee. It was like a huge lift off my spirit. My stomach was hurting for about a month because it was almost like, is this right? Am I going to take the opportunity somewhere else? And I would have put my work in all wherever I did choose, but I just wanted to make sure it was for the right reasons. Too often we try to get in these positions. I'm going to make money in it. Do it for the right reasons.
The
Does
right
the
reason.
work speak to you? Do you feel there's some type of challenge that you can rise to, or is it just for the extra check or for the accolades or somebody saying, "Hey, chief"? That's a wrong reason to get into this because at the end of the day, this is a challenging position, especially post Floyd era, especially post 2020 era of the pandemic, this is not for the light of heart. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your vision. You got to encourage. You got to inspire. You got to develop. But you also got to be ready to be replaced and understand that you're not the only game. That you have to be prepared that at some point, if you're not building that transition, if you don't have somebody lined up, then you really have not done justice to the position.
For real, for real. So knowing that you've got all these different agencies wooing you, do you kind of pay that back to, you were talking about mentorship earlier, pay that back towards, people behind you, kind of getting them ready for leadership positions as well?
Dale, I'm intentional about it. I'm so intentional. So I have retreats for my executive team and for my command staff where I, always, it's kind of funny. My latest retreat, one of my captains came up to me and said, I was waiting for you to pass on a book for me to read because I believe in development. And what I read, I believe in it. I'm going to pass it on to my team. I also believe in capturing the leadership of our partners around us. We have a lot of, Fortune 500 companies are in our area. So like I said, I don't wait for people to call on me. I'm knocking on your door saying, "Hey, we're here. We'd like to use your time to be able to build ourselves up because you're a successful company." So most recently, we just had a partnership with Northwestern Mutual Life. I mean, a multi-billion-dollar company that they brought their team in and gave us tips about success and what it means to be team. So I'm passionate about development. I'm not afraid to train up my successor. I'm not afraid to pass on the information I have for my replacement. If anything, then
Yeah.
it means that I've done something right in regards to that this is not going to be a one-hit wonder, that we're going to have continuity and leadership. We have to be intentional and not afraid to share what we get. Somebody shared it to me. So
Yeah.
who am
Yeah.
I to sit there and act like I got I use these quotes. These are the number of quotes I read from somebody that took off of a poster. So it's
Yep.
important to have a passion and to show your team that you want to have intentionality of developing, coaching. My door is open. I'm always willing to share and talk. We have meetings. We're talking about a team. I said, this is a safe place. We're here to take everybody's input in. I'm not the smartest dude in the room. And please do not act like it. And I'm not going to be happy with you if you try to go small on me.
Yeah.
Anybody want to get quiet, I'm calling on you because I
There
want to
you
hear
go.
what's in your head because I want to know if I'm about to go off a cliff. I want to know if
Right.
I'm going on the wrong road. And they've helped me, guide me when I was going the wrong way. But I had to be humble enough to ask for that input, to understand
Yes.
that we will be a unit where we rise and fall off our collective actions.
Yeah. Bringing this back to sports, they say some of the more successful coaches are the ones that surround themselves with other smart assistants as well. Some of the ones that are not as successful are kind of afraid of, someone kind of taking their job, so they don't hire assistants that are real big minds in the sport. So yeah, you got to
You
surround
got to
yourself
have
with good people.
humility. When you say servant leadership takes on a couple of qualities that it's always funny. People like to use catchphrases. Oh, I believe in servant leadership. Really? What does that mean? Servant leadership talks about foresight, talks about being able to see things before others, where you can say, I can see you in this position. I see that you are bringing yourself to a level of excellence that I want to encourage, develop, and bring the best out of you. But it's also about humility. And don't get me wrong, I talk a good game right now. I'm very, communicative, but I can settle down, listen. I'm reflective. We just had talking about wellness. I use my 5 o'clock in the morning workouts to reflect on yesterday's activities. And there's times I've come back to the team and apologized. And one time I said, I made a decision without hearing your voice. And my executive command staff, I have my assistant chiefs in there, I have my inspectors in there, I have my chief of staff in there. I said, each and every one of you have an important voice in this room. And how dare I make a decision without hearing your thoughts? And best believe when I did that for that one particular situation, again, that was one of those moments they helped me avoid going over a cliff. So it really
Mm.
truly is important to slow it down and embrace somebody who brings their talents to the table.
Yeah.
Just like you talk about a team, don't try and be a center. Don't try to be a guard. Don't try to be a forward. If that is your role, if you're, small guard, or if you power forward, play your role, but understand the greater good of how you contribute to the team. You see my emails, I talk to my team, I say, we, us, go team. You gotta believe it, embody it, but also you have to walk that walk that you talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And earlier you were mentioning about, some of the challenges that we faced in law enforcement the past couple years with COVID and also George Floyd. How do those
Yeah.
how do those two things affect your agency and your city in particular?
So we had our fair share of civil unrest with the George Floyd. But I tell you what, Dale, when we don't acknowledge some of the things that we should be honest about, when we're not being forthright in our communication, it gets people angry. And
Yeah.
rightfully so. We have to own when we do things that are not of the profession or what's good for our community. Accountability cannot be one way in regards to us being the conduit of accountability for our respective governments. We have to also hold ourselves accountable. And I've said that from day one, coming in as an intern. That's how I am as a permanent chief. I hold my people accountable just as well as I hold anyone else accountable. And so when we talk about the post George Floyd era, I hope it was a watershed moment for many agencies who wants to always circle the wagon in regards to their bad behavior and try to keep it in house and try to
Mhm.
there is a transparency aspect that gives legitimacy to your organization. And I'm not afraid about that. I've never been. But the thing is, I always tell people, I have a wife who loves me and kids who know me. I'm good at home. And at the end of the day, if it angers you about holding someone accountable, especially for things that should never have taken place within your agency, don't be mad at me, be mad at yourself. Or be mad at
Right.
the other person who's making it hard for that organization. So, as a post George Floyd era, I hope that more and more of our agencies are stepping up to the plate, being that type of leader that our community expects us, and not be afraid about it or apologetic about it. I tell people all the time, if I'm gonna hold you accountable, I'm gonna look you in the eye. And
Mm,
I did, hey, you
mm.
did it. I didn't do it. When it comes on my plate, I'm gonna take care of it. I don't walk away from it. And I tell my
Right.
team that. I tell us that we need to be that type of leadership that we own when we do wrong, just as well as we want to tell the world when we do right. We got to own when we do wrong. But also for the post COVID-19, it really, I won't say the straw that broke the camel's back in a way of life, seeing the kids and the kind of stuff that's going on within our respective communities, seeing the type of frustration. Even right now, we're still seeing it. It took us, seconds to really go from, a robust society to almost a shutdown where it was like, people were, shut off from each other. And it really took a toll on our mental health. It took a toll on our way of life that we're still
Mhm.
not back into what we can call a normal place, if ever going to be a normal place. But it
Yep.
should be a reminder how connected we are, how much work we have to do in regards to working for our entire community. And like I always tell Dale, for all my press conferences I do, all the public speaking, a reminder of the crisis our kids are in when we're not taking care of business for them, when we don't understand that, when we don't have activities for our kids, when we don't have the type of, supervision or guidance, they're going to take it on their own hands. You ain't going to like that result. And so I really work hard to have engagement with our kids. I have, a robust community engagement team and, always looking for partners to ensure that we are being proactive in our interactions with our children, because if we don't be there to guide them, they're going to guide themselves. And we're not going to like that outcome.
Yep. Yep. But another thing that happened because of 2020 George Floyd and all that was people not really wanting to be involved in the enforcement profession, whether they're already in it. I know you mentioned attrition; those are people that that were leaving because of retirements and other opportunities. But it's hard. I know across the country, it's hard to recruit people into this profession nowadays, just because of the aura around the profession now. Talk
Right.
about kind of changing that perspective and getting people interested in this profession again.
So I just watched the recent Noble CEO symposium that took place in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We have to do a better job of telling our story. For those of us who are still in this profession, we need to share our why of what is keeping us here. And I say it all the time. It's not a job. I don't even like to call it a career. It's a calling. And if this is a calling for you, there is there isn't enough money to pay you to do this work. I still, after 26 years, still have a smile on my face. And I will say this, if this is not for you, God bless you. But please move on because you're harming those who are staying here or who are still holding the work that needs to be done because it doesn't go away. So we need to be able to look for others who feel, at the very least, this is a career. Because I don't want nobody to want this as a job. A job is somebody who clicks in and punches out and looks at the clock before the clock. If you're one of those individuals, please stay away because we don't need no more individuals taking this position as a job. It's not a job. You're dealing with crisis. You're dealing with emergencies. You're dealing with your community. And people want to know, are you in it for the real right reasons? So if this is a career or better yet, even a calling, we don't have the same numbers coming in when we did our recent recruiting, but we're still in the several hundreds. And I will say this, I'm part of one of the greatest fraternities in the world, Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. I'm sorry if anybody else don't got it, but we always got to believe in our fraternities are the greatest. But I still understand that being part of the organization when you volunteer, the work for many is done by few. Yes. And sometimes we have to be okay with that. Because if it means that you have a lot of numbers, but you have discipline issues, you have credibility and legitimacy issues because people out there doing their own thing, was it truly worth it? So if it means there's few of us, but we all are like-minded, we can move mountains, man. We can do some things because we all know that we're all in it for the right reason. We're holding it down for the right reasons. So again, I'm not bothered by this right now.
But Chief, I'm not saying there's a shortage of people that are willing to help, to have that same mindset. They just see that now all the things that their law enforcement are viewed as, they can put that energy into working, at a nonprofit or work, at a fire department or, being a nurse. They see that now. So, I was thinking about law enforcement, but not from what I see. How can we change that?
Well, I will say this much again, it goes back to sharing our why, but we also got to understand, when we are recruiting, we also got to understand the retention. There's a twofold. So recruiting still is about don't go into a profession that doesn't speak to you. That's a very, you spend almost your entire adult life at your particular respective career or job. Don't have that regret that this is an opportunity you pass by because you're allowing someone else's story to be your story. What is your story? What is your feelings? And also that, you can't help those who are still in, and we got to talk to the team right now. It's like, we all are recruiters. On down to our, frontline officers. We all are out there recruiting, sharing our story, and also helping each other out to retain because we do got new recruits. Don't sit there and say, hey, kid, get out of here while you can. So guess what? I guess you're going to do all the work by yourself. We need to be better to each other because we can get caught up in this crisis. We can get caught up in this sarcasm. This is a noble profession. And that's not hokey to say that. It is. I have some of the, and you as an officer, Dale, you have some of those magical moments of being able to help those who are in the greatest need. And being able to walk with those stories and knowing that, man, you can't make this up. So I think we have to be very intentional about sharing our stories, showing the passion, being intentional on meeting people where they're at because there's so much gold out there that is not always the normal places you go. The colleges, the military campuses. There's at the churches, at our, community places. I mean, there's so much untapped potential. Yep. But we need to be honest to being out there and being proactive and being humble enough that you need sometimes to talk to those out there and say, how can I find other people like you, community stakeholder, who wants to be part of this profession? So we really got to do a better job of advertising, recruiting, and putting our best foot forward, and that we all have a responsibility in this particular action.
Absolutely. That's one thing I brought up in my particular agency a while back with one of my commanders. Recruiting and actually these town halls that we do, they do them, like local coffee shops in the downtown, kind of affluent areas. And I was trying to tell them that's not where some of our people are going. We need to go to some of
Yes,
these
sir.
barbecue places,
Yes,
barbershops,
sir.
and things of that nature. So we can have these one-on-ones with those people in those community in that side of town.
Hit it
So
off because that means that's diversity.
yes,
It's more than just black and brown. It's experiences. It's religion. It's gender. You know, we need to understand that we need to embrace it all. We need to embrace it all in regards to having what is reflective of our community. There was a big discussion at I was at the FBI NEI, the National Executive Institute, and they're talking about tattoos and our community is tattooed.
hmm
Our community has certain things, and that's where you bring connectivity. I told him, I said, one of my best community liaison officers, a CLO, was a guy from the neighborhood who had a tattoo on his neck, and people read the book before they allowed him to speak. He's now a detective now. Phenomenal. We got to sit there and take ourselves and recalibrate our brain. Understand that when you talk about diversity, it's talking about being forward thinking. It's about embracing. We are a service oriented profession. You got to look like
yes,
those who you serve. You got to be
yes,
able to understand from those who you serve. You cannot be afraid about that. Our rigidity is going to hurt us. We're talking about the fight for trust and legitimacy right now. You don't find people who trust that you can identify with. That's
exactly,
just almost
exactly.
that's you're already working an obstacle right there.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we really got to be embracive to a lot of different things that you might not be used to, but it doesn't make it wrong just
right.
because
Yeah,
you're uncomfortable with
for
it.
real, for real. And you kind of answered my question there. One, you being, African American chief, and some of those statements you just said right now, kind of mirroring your department, mirroring your community. Do you
Yes,
feel it's
sir.
kind of that way, or is it always a work in progress?
It is a work in progress. Understanding that we as this profession don't like the way things are, but we don't like to change. So someone has to be the transformational, or someone needs to understand how to toe the line. I was that, like by one of my old parts just say, the contrarian view in the room in regards to the hearing the discussion about the tattoo policy. Our kids are being tattooed.
Yeah,
Now we do have to have limits. You just can't put anything on yourself and represent any old thing, but there's still opportunity there. And that's where we really can, again, expand our recruitment base. You talk about recruiting. Well, don't look for the carbon copy widget,
yeah,
as long as they could possess that emotional intelligence, possess that, ability to communicate. Because too often we do too much that and too many firearms. We need to have
hmm
scenarios and look and see, how do you do problem solving, critical thinking. Are you embracing those studies? Because Terry versus Ohio is not just some type of feel good stories from the '60s. This is part of who we are, foundational. We talk about reasonable suspicion. There's a lot of things that I think we really got to recalibrate and turn upside down with the profession to really be that type of organization the community can look at and says, I see myself, I see the relationship here, I see us, I see that we are being reflective in all type of walks of life here, but they still have a level of competency. You still don't throw that out. Just because
no,
you have a different of experiences, or makeup, whether it's certain people have tattoos, some people don't, some people certain type of gender, doesn't mean that you take away the quality of what we
yes,
expect our officers to be able to possess.
that part.
How to de-escalate, how to talk to someone, how to empathize. You don't always got to
Yes,
sympathize, but how do you empathize? Slow it
yeah,
down, learn. Come on.
yep, yep.
That's what we need to be
Now,
intentional about.
right now, another piece in that cog in that wheel is when you're doing recruiting, um, not lowering standards, but maybe the background process or who you're looking for. Some of these things need to be tweaked a little bit depending on the
Absolutely.
community that you're going into. Talk about that a little bit
Absolutely.
because I know there's some hard standards that all of our states have to abide by, but then there's some
Right.
some some leeway there too, right?
Yes. And so some of the things that we have done, and don't get me wrong, we do not have the recruiting responsibility. We help out. Our governing body, the Fine Police Commission, is the main authoritative body in regards to recruitment, testing, whatnot. But we do get part of the background. We do, and I am the chief where I can have a chief's objection once someone's what we call PHQ comes through, a personal history questionnaire. But we also look at in regards to, we used to have, deal breakers. If you had smoked marijuana, you were automatically excluded. Well, that's been modified where, depending on the time frame, how far back, recency, it's now a point system. So it's basically making the process, the background, a little bit more flat and a little more fairer in regards to that. We are embracing those who, probably have some type of different lifestyle, but either have changed or that, depending on the recency. So there is some modifications, being now still being relatively new as a permanent. We're still looking at more modifications, but the modifications should not take away, again, the qualifications of being able to do the job, and also, what we look for that core characters that we need to make sure that we are recruiting for, embracing, because we know what works in our profession, and that we need to make sure that we are being intentional about that. So we do have still a lot of room. I know I've seen a lot of editorials going on across the nation about, some departments are taking away the educational requirements and whatnot. That's a slippery slope, and I
Yeah.
get it. But we need to understand that, for us, for Milwaukee Police Department, you might not have a degree when you come on a job, but we expect you to have a degree 5 years into the job. So those might be opportunities for some other agency to say, we're not going to just take away the degree requirement, but maybe give people a little bit more time and expectations, but also support them in their journey to ensure that they can be successful. So you're not missing out on good qualified candidates who have the potential of really being great contributions to your agencies.
Wow. So your department requires a degree for a trainee for a recruit?
No, but we do require that you have 60 college credits within
Yeah,
five
that yeah.
years. And that is something that is part of what we call the Law Enforcement Standard Board training. So that's a statewide a requirement. But we don't expect you to have a degree coming in, but at least what would be considered a 2-year associate degree by your 5th year, or you'll be decertified. So at least they're giving you 5 years. There's reminders coming out from our training, and also that you get credits for being in the academy, because that
Yeah.
is, again, college level type of courses. So there are ways to do it. I don't believe, again, that we should be watering down anything, but we should be a little bit more open to other suggestions, other ways to really make sure that you are able to keep all your qualified candidates in this pool.
Yep, yep. And education, all that does is give you a base of having a broad knowledge in certain things, because as a patrol officer, you're going to be dealing with a whole bunch of different things out there. From help me turn off this water, you know, in an apartment.
Well, I will say,
Yeah,
education helps with the critical thinking.
that
Making
that
sure you can ask the why or try to figure things out, not being afraid or daunted by a challenge coming before you. But also understand what people don't realize about the profession. There is a lot of reading and writing. And
yeah,
the more
yep,
education you have, the more that comes a little more easier, especially that your reports, you rise or fall on that within court. When
yep,
you're writing citations, when you're writing these things that are going to have someone held accountable, those T's that needs to be crossed, those I's that need to be dotted will be scrutinized, especially when you talk to that defense attorney who's going to take it,
yes.
rip it apart because you're not putting the effort in or have the credentials to make sure that you have the type of work product that we all can be proud of.
Yes, and the easiest misdemeanor where you will be scrutinized the most, I won't say the most, but a lot, is DUIs, or DWI. I don't know what you call it in
My,
Wisconsin,
yes,
but yeah,
sir.
those defense
Absolutely.
attorneys will tear you apart on
Oh,
those
yes.
hearings. So
And people
you
want to
gotta,
pay good money for the good ones that you
yep,
definitely, will see a lot more, again, qualified lawyers who are, really giving you the run for your money because, they're getting paid a lot of money to make sure that their client gets the right type of representation. So DUIs, you're absolutely right. That's a very good point, Dale.
yep, yep, yep. So now that you've gotten the interim removed from your title, tell me about a couple of the challenges of your job now as chief of police.
The biggest challenge, I believe, is that, working with the resource that we have and that 2022 is still a challenging environment for our cities, especially our big urban cities. We still have high numbers of homicides. We still have a high number of reckless driving. We still have a high number of, unfortunate property crimes. So we're still dealing with some of these challenges of, you know, poor conflict resolution coupled with the accessibility of firearms. I'm telling you, I having people shooting each other over just the littlest things. Well, I always tell people, we always had people who had conflict. There's always been people who are going to get in arguments. It's how they're resolving it, or if you even want to call resolve.
Yeah.
That at the end of the day, that parking trouble, that accident turned violent.
Right.
And you used to think, well, usually it was a time frame, maybe at 8 o'clock at night. Now you got stuff in the morning, you got stuff in the afternoon. It's like, come on. So we are dealing with some challenges of the accessibility of firearms, poor conflict resolution. Our kids, even this early this year, our largest school system had to go back to virtual because of some of the COVID-19 issues. So you know what that means. You have hundreds of thousands of kids who's supposed to be at home on their respective laptops or computers or whatever. Some of these kids unfortunately don't have the type of household where they have the watchful guardian over there, because some of these mothers and fathers got to go to work. So we still have the challenge with our youth and being out there, still in vehicles. So it's been a challenge of being able to address it, reassure our community that we are on top of this, using our finite resources in the most effective way, which I always say it's all about the partnerships, baby. Making sure that we're working together. This is a Thanksgiving table, potluck. I'm bringing the turkey. You're going to bring the dressing. You're going to bring the corn, because we're going to make a meal. And that's how we can be, proactive in regards to subject matter expertise. You do the preventive work. We have a great working relationship with OVP, Office of Violence Prevention, doing that prevention work. We work with our community stakeholders that are engaging these kids. We got there, putting the messaging out about driving safe. So really trying to, be the tip of the spear of engaging our community, of saying, we need your help, being humble enough to say that we can't do this all on our own. And so that's one of the biggest challenges of being, in this position is, working out some of the past distrust, working out some of the past trauma of how we as a department treated our partners, if you even want to call that, because sometimes, disrespecting people, that's not partnership. You're being a knucklehead. So it really is bringing that best foot forward. And I take that on seriously. Just the other day on Sunday, I'm doing, community meetings on Sunday morning, going around, because it's all part of, we all have responsibility of changing the narrative. And if I don't show it, if I'm not out there doing it, all I'm just doing is talking, then everybody gonna look at you like, oh, you ain't trying to align your words to your actions. He's just sitting there trying to be a politician on the TV. No, I put it out there. I post it. We have a very proactive Twitter and Facebook, and, ensuring that the narrative's out there, that we are being intentional of meeting people where they're at.
That part. And on the flip of that, what's one of the more rewarding parts of your job as chief now?
I've always been about community engagement. So again, being on a Sunday morning, engaging with the community, I eat that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I have a beautiful wife who allows me to have this type of flexibility. Don't get me wrong, making sure I'm still with the family, but being out there, shaking hands, kissing babies, being around, us and all our different, ways of how we live and work and play in our community. That's just, I tell you, I can't get enough of it. And so basically it's one of those things of being at the helm now and making it one of my platforms, a signature part of my platform of community engagement, which really I say community engagement is having relationships with all parts of our community. We have the business community, law enforcement community, we have the stakeholder community. There's a lot of communities out there. It's not just we talking to residents. Don't get me wrong, that is our wheelhouse. But there's so many communities. We don't treat our business community right sometimes. Our law enforcement community, especially, we used to be called the state of Milwaukee. not the city of Milwaukee, the state of Milwaukee, because that's how we had as an attitude to our partners, to our other smaller suburban departments. The smaller suburban departments only small in size, but they are big in knowledge, experience. And I tell you this much, I respect them like any other chief, any other law enforcement partner out there, because we're all in this together. And I would not tolerate anyone on my team who disrespects our partners out there. Absolutely. You hear it. It's been taped. I've been said this many times. I have no tolerance for that, because at the end of the day, we all are part of this. This is a team effort, no matter who and where you come from. As long as you want to be part of the team, you got that proactive, positive, being part of the solutions. Come on. Open the doors. Community activists, they're all part of the family, baby. All.
Yes. All right.
I sit down, talk with them on a regular basis. Not afraid of those conversations. And sometimes you got to have that ear to keeping it real, that people saying, hey, y'all wasn't right about that, or what that wasn't right. And being ready to receive that and say, okay, what can I do better? Because we all can always improve.
That part. All right, Chief. I love the discussion with you. This is really on point, really poignant right now with all the stuff going on in 2022. It's still happening from 2020. So I really appreciate that. But
I appreciate
you're not done.
You, brother.
Yeah, you're not done. Like I told you, we're gonna do a little Milwaukee trivia real quick. So let me get this game set for you. This is this is
black or blue, black or blue, black or blue.
Come on now, you took some black sheep.
Black or blue, black or blue.
Chief knows his black sheep. Okay. This game is
from back in the days, my brother.
For real. For real. This is black or blue, but your game today, Chief, is called Walk in Our Shoes. Walk in Our Shoes.
Oh, I bet that embarrass myself.
Now, famous people from Milwaukee. I'm sure you know a few coming up in your day here in Milwaukee. I'm just going to give you a person. You tell me, were they born and or raised in Milwaukee or not? That's simple.
Okay. All
right. So here's your first one. Gene Wilder.
Born in Milwaukee.
Yes, that is true. He is from Milwaukee. Okay. All right. See, off to a good start. How about your next one here? How about Al Jarreau?
Come on. Now you got to give me something harder than that. Born in Milwaukee.
Born in Milwaukee. Yep. All right. I'm not trying to get you too hard, but hey, maybe we'll see this here. How about Diana Ross?
Oh, man. That's a hard one, because she's in Detroit. So she's not born in Milwaukee, but... what was my second choice? He said born or at least raised?
Just born or raised in Milwaukee or not?
No. She's Detroit. That's Detroit. That's what
she is Detroit.
Yes.
Not from Milwaukee.
Oh, yes.
Not from Milwaukee. How about Oprah?
Ooh. So she's not born in Milwaukee, but she has roots in Milwaukee. I know that she was born in Mississippi. So I would say no, but her mother... God rest her soul, that passed away, but we used to live here.
I'm going to give that to you because, yes, she was there from elementary school up until early high school.
Okay.
And her mom still lives there. Yeah, and then she went to go live with her dad in Mississippi or something like that. Yes, okay. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, how about Kanye West?
No.
He is not.
That's Chicago, right?
Milwaukee. Yes, definitely Chicago. Nothing to do with Milwaukee. Yep. How about Eric Benet, famously married
to Milwaukee with the high school king.
Okay, yes, famously married to Holly Berry.
Yes, sir.
From Milwaukee.
Yeah. Look at you, Dale. Look at you, man. I tell you.
All right, how about Aaron Rodgers? Plays
no,
out
he
there.
does not.
He's from Chico out here in the Bay, Northern California.
Yes, sir. He is a Californian.
Yes. How about this next one? Colin Kaepernick.
Oh, wow. So he really raised near Milwaukee, because I believe he's like Kenosha or something like that. But I'll still say, for the purpose of a worldwide audience, he's from Milwaukee.
Yes, we will say yes. The Milwaukee metropolitan area.
There we go.
Yes, there we go.
There we go.
How about Liberace?
Oh, yes, he's from Milwaukee.
He is from Milwaukee. I'm sure everybody in Milwaukee knows that.
Famous piano man.
How about Miami Heat guard Tyler Hero?
So he's from Wisconsin. I know that he went to Whitnall, but Milwaukee area, so Milwaukee.
Yes. Got that right. And your last one here, also Miami Heat famed Dwayne Wade.
He went to Marquette, but he was born in Chicago.
That is correct. He is not from Milwaukee. Wow, you aced that one, so we're going to call you
All I do is win, win, win.
winner.
Got money on my mind, I can never get enough. And every time I step up in the building, everybody hands go up.
Man, Chief killed that. You killed that. You killed that. You know your people from Milwaukee. All right.
Thank
All right.
you, sir. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. All right. Before I get you out of here, how about some words of wisdom, some parting shots on the way out here?
I always say that, public safety is a team activity. And if you cannot answer what you're doing for your own part respectively in regards to how we are improving our community safety, how we are affecting our kids in a positive manner, then you are not being part of the solution. And you got to look at yourself and say, what am I then? Am I part of the problem, or can I be part of the solution? The police department needs everyone's help. And I believe it's important for us to all do our respective role in regards to impacting public safety. So I appreciate you, Dale. Appreciate this platform. Appreciate being a part of this conversation. We can never have enough of this. The work that you do is so important in regards to shedding light in the personal level of us respectively. I honor you, brother. God bless you, brother. As I always say, stay safe and healthy.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief. I really appreciate you. You be safe out there, and wish you continued success out there in Milwaukee.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Take
I'll
care.
talk to you soon, Chief.
Absolutely.
All right.
Peace.
All right. What did you guys think of that conversation right there? That was phenomenal. I want to thank Milwaukee Police Chief Jeffrey Norman for coming on and making this episode straight fire. I appreciate you, Chief, and wish you continued success in everything you do. You guys out there got some value out of this episode? Make sure you click that like button right here on my YouTube channel or rate it 5 stars on your favorite podcast platform. I'll be back in a couple weeks with another banging episode just like this one, but till then, you already know, stay black and blue. I'll holler at you. Deuces.
This has been a Maitre D Entertainment presentation.